Welcome back to Tutorial Tidbits. I'm Elizabeth St. Hilaire, and this week I have been playing with household objects on my gel plate. I've been pressing and removing paint with some unusual materials, and I've been having a lot of fun, clearly, in the studio. So if you'd like to see the results that I've achieved with some unique materials, let's go check it out. Welcome back. Today I'm using some unusual products on my gel plate to press and remove paint to achieve subtle patterns. What they are silicone products, sink liners, and placemats. So the first one is a circular sort of flower pattern silicone placemat. The second one is a rock pattern silicone sink liner. So this is what goes in the bottom of your sink. You cut a hole for the drain. This is also available in a neat flower pattern. And the last one is another placemat with a hole punch pattern that kind of goes around in a spiral. So this is another circular placemat. The placemats and the sink liners are available on my Amazon shopping resource page, and that link is in your upper right-hand corner. So what these do is press and remove paint and reveal a subtle pattern. It's very different than a stencil because instead of masking the paint and blocking it, we're just going to press and remove and give ourselves a subtle pattern on the plate. Now, I've been playing all day with my gel plate, so it's a little messy, but bear with me. So the first sheet that I'm going to make is a solid light colored green. I've got green in my brayer and I'm putting out yellow. So it's going to mix together to form a nice light yellowy green. I had actually wanted it to be lighter than this. So let's do 2. I'm using my rice paper pad 9x12, also available on my Amazon list. I'm going to put the smooth side down into the paint. Press and lift. That's a little darker than I wanted, so I'm going to try to get some of that green out of the brayer. I'll save this for another print, and I'll try to get closer to the yellow green. There we go, that I really wanted. So I wanted this to be a bright sort of yellow green. So I'm adding primary yellow, and what I had in my brayer was a bit of turquoise phthalo. So my next sheet, smooth side down. And I've got a nice, bright, sort of variegated greenish yellow. And I'm going to go over that with the turquoise phthalo because it's a high contrast, the turquoise phthalo, to this color. You want to go over it with something that's high contrast so you can see the pattern. You can also make it very subtle, but for my purposes in demonstrating, I want it to be a higher contrast. So I'm going to take the turquoise phthalo, and there's not much left in this container. And roll that out, swirling and blending to make sure I get a nice blended coverage. When you want, this is sort of mottled, so you can see there's streaks and marks of the yellow in there. It's because I didn't blend the color well enough. I don't mind that, but if you blend colors on the gel plate and you really want them to be smooth, you need to stir and then roll. Stir it and then roll it out. That'll make it a nice smooth blend. So when you're using 2 different paint colors and you want to get a nice smooth blend, you definitely want to stir it around and then roll it out. So I'm going to take that placemat, put it down into that paint, and I'm going to take a clean 4-inch brayer and I'm just going to press. I'm applying pressure, pressing this placemat down into that paint so that it picks up some paint and lifts it off. So I'm going to set that aside, and the first print I'm going to do on that original scrap sheet because this one's going to be more subtle. It is quite nice though. And then I've got the second print that I'm going to put on my lighter sheet, and this one's going to be more bold. So here I've got a beautiful impression of that placemat. The second print is more bold and the first print is more subtle. This one has more paint and the second print has less paint. So you have different levels of contrast with that silicone placemat. So the next one we're going to use is the silicone sink liner in the rock pattern. So again, I'm going to roll my brayer out, get this green out of it as best I can. I've got another brayer here that might be better. I typically like to have two brayers, a cool color brayer and a warm color brayer. That way, when I stay in cool colors and I stay in warm colors, I don't cross-contaminate, because if the green gets in the orange, it's just going to make it muddy. So the second brayer, and I'm going to start with a sort of a yellowy orange. So I'm going to do a little orange and a lot of yellow so I can get a nice bright yellow orange. Stirring it and then rolling it. So there we go. There's a nice light orangey yellow. So on this one, I'm going to go with magenta. So I'm going to put magenta out on the plate. I'm going to roll this brayer to clean the orange out. I want a nice layer of magenta without any orange in it. I want to keep it dark. So I just roll the brayer off onto a clean piece of paper. And then I'm going to use the sink liner to press and remove. And again, you can use your hand or the brayer to press and remove paint from the plate in the pattern. So we're going to lift that up. The first print is going to go on a scrap paper. The second print is the one that I want to put on this light orange. So let's see what we've got off to the side here for a scrap paper. Here's one with some metallic on it, green on the other side. That could be interesting. So we'll put it on this. It's the second print that I want to put on the light orange, but the first one can be interesting as well. So that's kind of fun. But here we go with a little bit less paint, and we'll put that on the prepared orange sheet. So here we got a nice impression of that silicone sink liner with the magenta over the light orange. And last but not least, I am going to use a manganese blue. I'm going to put a little bit of teal in it, lighten it up a little bit. I'm going to come back with the cool color brayer, stirring it, swirling it, and rolling it out. So I have this nice bright sort of bluish teal base layer. Smooth side down. And that's a little bit lighter and brighter. So now I'm going to go over it with a contrasting color. So I'm going to use an ultramarine blue. That's a lot darker. And I'm going to roll this teal out so that it doesn't lighten the ultramarine. This is also a fun thing you can do. I'm rolling it on with the sink liner underneath it, transferring the pattern with the brayer. That's a byproduct of just cleaning your brayer off on top of the textured sink liner. So I'm rolling out the blue. And I'm going to use the second placemat, put that in to the paint, use the clean brayer to apply the pressure. Lift it. I'm going to transfer it to the darker sheet first. We get a really nice spiral dotty pattern, and then I've got the second print that I'm going to put on the lighter sheet. And then I've got a higher contrast version of that pattern. Isn't that beautiful? Lovely blue on blue pattern. So the byproduct of cleaning the brayer off was so interesting on the first one. Let's put that same, let's use this one, put that down and take that brayer that's got some paint still in it and clean it off on this sheet, which could be the base layer for something else. So now my brayer cleanup sheet could be an interesting base layer for something else. And then the last one, we can try a cleanup. This doesn't have much paint left in it. But you get the idea. You can rub to clean up and transfer the texture from these as well. So you're getting some fun results removing paint from the gel plate with the silicone household products that are available on my Amazon resource page. So happy Friday, and thank you for being here.